Welcome back on this glorious and amazing day, and thanks for joining. There's only one frustration that many of you have is it's all nice and cute, this whole spiritual issue, the soul is still there connecting, but I'm not that type. I cannot connect to some spirit and to feel the soul is with me, not with me, behind me, in front of me, on top of me. I just know I had a loved one, a loved parent, a loved sibling, a loved child that has passed on. One day was here, one day was not here, and I miss him or her. It is weeks, months, and years. I cannot get back to myself, and I have a very big frustration. So if anything, your YouTubes don't even explain or help me. It actually frustrates me. And I get you. I don't have the answer, but I have a perspective for those that are not there yet with the Spirit, those that cannot connect with the eternal soul. And that is as following. I'll start off with physical pain and then I'll go to emotional pain. There are two segments within physical pain, within a painful event that happened within a human. One is in the moment that it happened. It is in the moment. Let's start with a simple cut in your hand. You get a cut. At that moment that you got the cut, it is very painful. I don't know the science behind it. I'm curious as I'm talking now. But within minutes to hours, the pain subsides slowly but surely. Once you get the cut, it does hurt. Now, it doesn't have to hurt, but I'm not going to any spiritual stuff now. We're not going to walk on fire of 1800 degrees, fire not burn our feet. We're not doing that. I'm going to simple stuff now. Then the wound, the cut begins to heal, and Mother Nature gets into full force, and the cells start working to start creating and repairing the damage that was done to your arm. As it heals, 2-3 days later, you can take off your band-aid if you want, and the scab that's starting to form, in order to get some activity under the scab, you could begin with your nail, with your hand, or with a little something sharp. You could start scraping that scab. When you scrape that scab will hurt you. When I had a very fearful event in my life, those hours, those days, or sometimes weeks are very painful. But just as physical pain heals on its own, heals as time goes on, so too emotional pain heals. However, at any given time, if I decide to go back to my scab, to my wound, and poke it and poke it and poke it, or instead of focusing about a goal that I want to accomplish, instead of connecting to someone, instead of focusing on something positive that my mind will then feel where it actually went to, I decide to spend an hour or more, or 5 minutes, and I'll go back to 3 months ago to an event that happened. Today, it's so much easier to understand because we can use technology. I'm not sure what those machines are called, but you could actually put the machines on your head, on various parts of your skull, and you could see on the monitor how your mood, your heart rate, your brain, your shifting, all the various parts within the brain, you could see the activity of the brain that's not going to a good place. It's because if you choose to go back to a negative event, your body actually relives that event. And if you really know how to focus, you could relive it to a level that as if it's happening now. You know this when you actually have a dream and your mind takes you to a very scary place. It happened to me. I'm sure it happened to you. You wake up sometimes, you hyperventilate. Well, what's going on? You are such a beautiful bed, such a warm blanket, such a cozy situation. Why you hyperventilate? It was just a stupid dream, as people say. Oh, it's nothing. It's not nothing. It's huge. If you know how to discipline your mind, you'll be going to the best places. There's one of the many things within the Jewish tradition and religion that I love is the mourning cycle, the mourning. When someone mourns and grieves, there's a whole system and cycle. Not that you have to follow that cycle. It's not that your emotions goes with the cycle, but versus the cycle is more what humans go through. And instead of ignoring the pain, instead of rushing through the pain and burying someone and running back to work or doing what you should do, no, that's the initial pain. You got to feel it to heal it. It's so raw. It's so deep. It's so new. It's the shock to the body. But very briefly, because I could spend 14 hours on this, but very briefly, there's one set of rules because of the feelings, not because of the rules. There's one set of... Oh, it smells so good here. I love it. Sorry. There's one set of rules of till you bury the person, because we know that's when the mind is totally not there. Then there's another set of rules because we want you to experience the pain. We want you to grieve. We want you to speak about it. We want you to heal. We want you to notice the cut in your hand. We want you to clean. There might be dirt there. We want you to acknowledge or see if we need stitches or don't need stitches. We need that crying. We need to get it out of our system. Then there's a system for the first 3 days, and then for the first 7 days, for the first 30 days, for the first 11 months. And I think it's beautiful because the psychology of how we feel to heal, we only spoke about it in the last hundreds of years, and this stuff is at least 2,000 years old, and it's beyond beautiful. It's don't shower, don't wear your beautiful clothes, sit on a very low chair, don't go to work, reflect, cry, express. Pain goes and goes and goes. I usually use the number 10. It goes up to the level of 10. Whenever pain is over the level of 10, it pours out. It's like a pot. Fill up with water, and once it reaches a certain level, it pours over. That's the tears. Happiness could go from 1, 2, 3, 10. Once it goes to 10, it's tears. It's not babyish if you cry. That's total ignorance. It's not babyish at all if you cry. We thought about that way. We thought that way thousands of years ago. No, it's just our ignorance. Because babies cried a lot, we thought it was a baby. Now babies are healthier, they know when to cry. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it now. So let me summarize this part. The initial pain is real. There's a loss, if not the spiritual loss, because the soul is still here. It's the physical loss. Let's take care of that. And everyone knows, thank God I haven't had someone close to me besides my nephew that was 9 years old that didn't wake up one morning. But everyone knows, well, I didn't sleep the first night because I was driving all night to New York for the funeral. But everyone knows, after someone passes away, everyone will tell you the first night they barely sleep. Second night they'll tell you, hey, they sort of slept an hour. Third night could be even 2-3 hours. So you see the healing process start straight away. It's just like a cut. The one message that's so important is, only an animal will chew its cud. You eat, it went down, and then it comes right back up, and we chew it all over again. That's an animal. Besides, I only know of one human being, someone I know very well. I used to study with him. In the middle of studying, his whole mouth would fill up, and the first time this happened, I almost had a heart attack because we're in the middle of talking, and he starts chewing. And I thought I'm going to faint, and he explained to me he chews his cud. I'm wondering how many people do it, but I only know of one on planet Earth that actually does it. There's a big desire, I could spend 3 hours, but I will not, of why we actually go back to 2 months ago what happened. Why we go back to it, and we relive it, but that's a choice. That does not apply, let's not get confused, that does not apply to PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. That's a different story. That comes from the amygdala from the subconscious mind, that we need to learn skills of how to control that part within the brain, because usually the amygdala will control you versus you controlling the amygdala. Thanks for joining me. See you next week for our last and final clip on death. Have yourself a wonderful day, and life can never stop. Life can never stop. There's some components in life that looks like they stop. We have most of our cells besides the heart, I believe, just die. The skin you touch of your own hand is not the same skin you had months ago. I forget, every single limb of your body regenerates new cells. I think the exception to the rule is the heart, but even the heart might have new cells regardless. So, but life never stops. If you're in the forest like we are right now, like I'm right now, you see the trees. If I come here 200 years, you might not see the exact same trees, but you'll see trees, because trees never cease to exist. Humans never cease to exist. The spirit never ceases to exist. No one ever passes on. No one ever passes on. See you next week.